3 up, 2 across, tap that play button 3 times, and walk through the archway into Dialogue Alley. Hello, and welcome to Dialogue Alley, the official Potter Collector podcast about Harry Potter books, book translations, and all other things magical. I'm Erik.
I'm Carly.
And I'm Melanie. And I'm saying,
and welcome.
I'm saying that so down in the dumps because for those of you who don't know, spoiler alert, this is our second time recording about a third of this episode. And the first time we recorded that little intro part, we did something silly. And this time, Erik didn't do something silly because I think he was annoyed about the fact that we're recording it for a second time. Fun fact.
You're spot on with that.
I picked up.
A little peeved. Little peeved.
Take 2, everybody.
Take 2. So welcome, everyone. The 3 of us are Harry Potter book translation collectors. What does that mean? That means we collect Harry Potter books from all over the world, and we like talking about them. And we are...
You couldn't tell by the tone of Erik's voice.
You couldn't tell. I'm going to inject some positivity and remind you all that we are now the official podcast of the Potter Collector. We love this new partnership. It is so amazing.
It's been awesome.
We are just so happy. We're so happy with this. And you might be wondering, hey, if you're the official podcast of the Potter Collector, where's the Potter Collector? Well, I'll tell you. He is currently in the Wizarding World right now filming more content for all of you people. So you get to look forward to some new content from Orlando, which is very exciting.
Did you see he got one of those little owl pets? Like the shoulder ones.
Yes.
We looked for those last time when I was there with him and they were sold out. And I'm like so stupid bummed because I want one of those guys so bad.
They look really cute. Although they're pretty expensive, honestly.
But they're like, they interact with you. They're so cool.
Yeah,
like
that is true.
It's kind of like, you know how I don't know if you know, but Disney has these little shoulder buddies and they're magnetic and they stay on your shoulder really, really easily. This one does that too. And it's a little owl. And when you could talk to it and it talks back to you. And it's just, it's just so cute and so cool. And I want one.
Yes.
And Johnny, I think, just said that we could just order it from the store. Online.
The store.
Like the Universal, the Universal store, online. You could, but I don't know. I feel like the magic is getting it there. So I could be
part of the fun is getting it
wearing it there. Yeah.
Yeah, but then I risk it being
unless
sold
you
out.
want to get it, unless you want to get it ahead of time so that you can wear it to the park from the minute you land, you have it on your shoulder.
I wonder if that's something
people are I bet you're going to the Wizarding World.
I wonder if the New York store would have it. Curious.
I wonder. I wonder.
Possibly.
I don't know.
Possibly. I don't know either. Well, we have a little bit of news today, which is good because we had a little bit of news last week too. So that's amazing that we have back-to-back episodes of actual book translation news. Our main segment this episode is going to be about translations that use the Thomas Taylor art, which is pretty exciting. We'll tell you more about that in just a little bit. And then, as always, we will finish with the translation of the show. Show.
On to the news.
That wasn't even a special effect. I just did it myself.
I know. It was
amazing.
Really cool. I was going to try to make an owl joke and it flopped.
Oh, that's okay. But we could just say, speaking of really cool, Carly, why don't you tell us the really cool news that that just dropped that we are so excited about? I thought
you were saying I was really cool and I got excited. But the news is also really cool. So we have a new box set coming from Italy, which they always have. It seems like Italy is always making box sets. But this one caught my attention specifically because it has the 20th anniversary art, which from Thai. the Thai 20th anniversary art by Apollo Arch or Arch Apollo. I get his name backward, but so please excuse me. But and not only that, it's not only the art, but it looks to be like the 20th anniversary Thai box set, but in Italian. Like it has the fold outs, the Quidditch, all of that stuff that you see in the 20th anniversary box set from Thai, but in Italian. And so for those who just want the art without the back and forth dealing with the Thai publisher, you can have that and you just get it, Amazon.it, I think they're out for pre-order, €142. And I think you can just buy it plus whatever the shipping cost is, which should be less than what I think it is out of Thailand. I had to wait about 9 months for mine to arrive because I got mine, I think, before it dropped. So there was a long wait there. We were all very excited. And this, I think, is just going to be super simple. You just buy it on Amazon, Italy. And
a lot more accessible. I think if you're looking just for this cover art, it's accessible. So if you want it,
and I think it's hardcover, but I'm not for certain there. I'm hoping so. I mean, Italy makes excellent hardcover books and nice softcover books, but excellent hardcover books. I'm working really hard to talk myself out of this box set because I don't need two that are this fancy.
I don't need it.
Well, and that's just it. I think
I definitely don't need it.
Yet another SpongeBob SquarePants reference on our podcast.
Always.
Really quick about the Thai set. I think the only reason why anyone would want the Thai set from Thailand is if you are collecting translations with unique art and you want the translation that had that art first. So if you want the first books to have that art, I know that's what Melanie collects. Honestly, that's kind of what I am going for. Also, like I always like to get the
They're really like the Thai did a really good job on the books too, right? Like the hardcover Thai books and even the softcover, but the hardcover are phenomenal. So they're worth buying. I'm not saying they're not, but they're worth buying. They're just more difficult to buy than the Italian box set potentially. And Solani makes a great box.
Honestly,
it's
and
so cool.
if you want ease of purchase, like Carly mentioned, going to Amazon Italy and buying this set with like 2 clicks. Yeah. Of course, while using your credit card that does not have foreign transaction fees. Hot Erik tip that I mention as many times as I get. But no, it's just a fun set that I'm really glad that it's more accessible to more people that want it, because we mention all the time on this show, like, what is a showstopper piece? What is something that, even if you are a casual Harry Potter fan, not necessarily a translation collector, but you just like Harry Potter things that you can show off on your shelf. And this is such an easy way to get one of, I mean, subjectively, but I think a lot of people share the opinion that this is one of the best box sets with art, with the little foldies, the Quidditch people, the box folds out. It's just the foldies and flappies and dolls and
it's so cool. It's just a really cool set.
It is so cool.
Yeah,
it's a really cool set. So
it is phenomenal.
Definitely keep your eye on Amazon.it if this is something that maybe you're like, ooh, I really want some cool looking books to put on my shelf as just a casual Harry Potter fan.
Yeah, it's a showstopper piece for honestly not a lot of hard work or effort or money comparatively. It is so beautiful. So I'm excited about that. And also, this is super exciting. Erik will be super excited about this. Our logo on Apple Logos is finally updated.
Yeah, so
that's great. Thanks for the
finally.
Thanks to Apple support. Yeah, thanks to Apple support ticket. I opened one up and the next day it was resolved. And so I gave the person that handled our help ticket a 10 out of 10 for everything.
You were getting really aggravated. It was great. It was kind of
I was only aggravated because I could see that it was working, but then it would not work, and then it would work again, and then it would change itself back. So,
but it was
something
funny
on their end wasn't working.
In our group chat, Erik at some time during the day would say, the logo's changed to the old one again. So irritatedly.
But then I'd be like, yeah, it's new. And then I'd send screenshots and then it's back to the old one. So yeah, it's all good on Apple Podcasts right now. Hopefully it stays that way. Although there's still some other platforms that I have looked us up on where we still have the really old logo that I made in 5 seconds when Carly and I started this on
the turquoise
a random
BA?
day during the lockdown. The turquoise background with the gold letters. Yeah.
I haven't seen that in a while.
It's vintage.
I don't even know.
I don't even know where to find that. It's vintage Dialogue Alley.
Yeah. So that's kind of random too. So if you ever see that around town,
let us know so we can update it.
Give you some giggles. Yep.
Let's get into the main segment. Speaking of neat art.
Yeah, so for our main segment today, we're going to talk about something that maybe isn't the reason that any of us started translation collecting, but it's interesting now that we have. So we're talking today about translations from around the world that use existing Harry Potter art from other countries. I think this would be a great series to do with lots of notable artists, but we're going to start from the beginning. The very first Harry Potter book to come into existence from the United Kingdom had the art on the cover by Thomas Taylor, which it is iconic. It is iconic Harry Potter cover art. It was used again for the anniversary book that Bloomsbury put out a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. It's just very, very well known. And so well known, in fact, that like the Mary Grand Pré art from the United States, this art from the UK was used when new translations came out. Instead of coming up with new art that's unique to a specific language like French or Finnish or Swedish, some countries just used this existing art. And there's probably many reasons why, one of which could be cost. You don't want to commission something else. Another reason could be when you are selling a book that is so well known, you want to use art that is also so well known so that people can easily find it. They don't have to look for something that they're not expecting.
As part of Harry Potter franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So very easy marketing because all of the stuff already exists. So whatever the reason, there are lots of languages that used the Thomas Taylor art. Now, the three of us were talking in our failed attempt to record this episode about 25 minutes ago about how kind of not shocked is kind of an over exaggeration, but surprised at how few translations actually use the Thomas Taylor art. I thought it was a lot more. And then when I went to count them up on my shelf, I was like, oh, there's still a good amount, like more than a lot of other ones. But it's interesting how many more books use the American cover art than they did the original UK cover art. So we're gonna go through them all. But what are your initial thoughts on that?
I just think I'm shocked at I thought it was a lot more, and maybe it's because if I take a look at my shelf, it's almost majority of just book one is Mary Grand Pré, and then I think that this is next, and that's just because, for the most part, I tried to collect the original format in which the book came out. Like Eric was saying before, I think we're going to do this episode on Thomas Taylor art. I think another big one would be to do all the Kibuishi art.
And Johnny Duddle.
I
think there are more Johnny Duddle than Thomas Taylor at this point.
Yeah,
because I know there are languages that have done Duddle, but not Taylor. Mm-hmm. And I just in my head thought there were so many more Thomas Taylor than there are, and I just think I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to keep track. And this list can change. We're recording this in April of 2024. So, new translations come out all the time or they're reissued. And, who knows if more languages are going to use this Thomas Taylor art in the future. So as of now, let's go through the list and just, we can stop if there's anything notable. But for the most part, I think the books that use the Thomas Taylor art are pretty faithful to how the original Bloomsbury book looked in English. There's really not a lot of divergence from that template. And, that's the same for a lot of these other ones too. But there are a couple ones that are notable, which I think we'll talk about when we get to them. So the very first one that we're going to talk about is Ancient Greek. That was published by Bloomsbury. And it looks exactly like the English cover because it was published by Bloomsbury. And, it's very cut and paste. So really, nothing different about that. Although I will note that they put the translator on the cover, which Bloomsbury tends to do. There's a couple other ones on this list that Bloomsbury published as well.
Yes.
Which is nice. They put the translator on the cover. So that's
love
really
that.
cool.
We love honoring the translator.
We do love that. And yeah, we'll talk about this more with other ones. So I'll save that. But yeah, Ancient Greek's the first one. The next one is Catalan from Spain. And there are a couple versions of this one. But the one that I was thinking of, it's a smaller paperback version. It's like the third state of Catalan Book 1. And it's almost like
the paperback came
orangey.
later, though.
Yeah.
No, I have the hardcover version. I have it in
have the
hardcover.
And soft. The hardcover came before the soft. The soft came actually later. It's published by La Butaca, and it is it's smaller than even the small hardcover with jacket.
Yeah, I think it's kind of
this. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think that this is kind of an interesting mention. Just the fact that we had two different states of Philosopher's Stone in Catalan that were unique cover arts, and I feel like this could very well be an example of those books weren't selling great, so they went to Thomas Taylor cover art because it's recognizable and it would sell. And since then, that's what they've stuck to.
It has been
that's,
and they
for the most part.
And they even did the deluxe books in Catalan 1 through 4, probably as an attempt as well to, one, make something pretty and popular, but also to further associate it with the Harry Potter books because, like Melanie just said, they used the Thomas Taylor art in the Catalan books, but they used variations where they changed some of the cover, like the band up at the top is a different color, and they changed some of the colors, I think, throughout the color palette. So again, I feel like they went and did the deluxe edition because that's almost spot on for the Bloomsbury. I feel like they did that to further associate it with the Harry Potter franchise.
Yeah, there's actually another unique art that's Catalan also, which are those really big books.
Oh yeah.
Sean actually just mentioned those two. It only came out for books 1 through 4. They're massive. Actually,
Phenomenal.
Sean gave me 2 of them as a wedding present, which was the coolest thing ever. Probably one of my favorite gifts that I got for my wedding were these 2 books because I had looked everywhere for them. But yeah, I guess again, they even though Philosopher's Stone featured a train, it just wasn't recognizable enough. And I think that that's probably this is a really kind of clear example to me that they switched over to Thomas Taylor so they could sell some books.
I agree.
I love the orange, though.
So then,
the orange variation. I
yeah,
think that's so cool.
And really quick, the paperback, that was the first Catalan book translation I had. One of my friends brought it back for me when he was in Spain. And the spine of that book is not the blue, red, and yellow that the other Thomas Taylors are. It's just cream, really bland. So it doesn't really stick out on the shelf as a Thomas Taylor cover, which is,
it looks like a pulp
worth
paperback, one that's just meant to be read.
Yeah. Yep.
The hardcover is cool though, because the hardcover is orange and teal. Doesn't look
that is cool.
It doesn't look like Thomas. I don't know if you could see it. It's that one, right there on my shelf. But
okay.
But it still doesn't scream Thomas Taylor art when you look at the spine. So it also depends on how they marketed it in bookstores. They would have had to show the front of this book on display in order to get these books selling. And I'm sure they did, Like that's had to be done.
I'm sure they would have had like a Harry Potter standee with that. I don't know. It just feels like something they would have done.
But who knows? So the next one is English, obviously. And we're mentioning English because all other English-speaking publications of this book besides the United States use the Thomas Taylor art. So that would be Canada, Australia, South Africa, and India. Am I missing anything?
No.
I think that's it. And it looks identical to the original UK book.
And we did mention that Thomas Taylor was the first illustrator of the Harry Potter book one.
Yeah.
Okay, for those who didn't know.
Yep. So, obviously, all the countries that I mentioned besides the United States. Well, I don't even know. That's not worth mentioning. I just find it curious that everyone went with the Thomas Taylor art except for the United States. So, but I think that's mostly because...
Well, there's a gray area there too, actually, because there's the Scholastic book clubs, but they were released in Canada, but it's of Thomas Taylor. So it's a Canadian Scholastic.
That's true. So we'll keep it simple and say everyone got Thomas Taylor art except for the Americans, which is fine because I love our art too. The next couple are not. We don't really need to talk a lot about them. The original Greek translation, but that had pre-movie font, which is pretty cool.
Yes.
Hawaiian, which is actually in a language that is now in Hawaii, which is a state of the United States. Obviously, this was a language before Hawaii was part of the United States, but it is the only book to be released in the United States that has Thomas Taylor art instead of Mary Grand Pré art. So I thought that was kind of interesting that they chose to use the UK art instead of the US art.
Maybe to differentiate it.
Fun.
Yeah. Probably to differentiate it.
Yeah. I would have loved original art.
I would have loved that. What a missed opportunity for original art.
I know. I would have loved original art. They could have done so much kind of like especially what Maori did. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Since Maori's a relatively new translation. Hawaiian is a relatively new translation. Maori got original art. Hawaiian just used Thomas Taylor, which is man,
but given who the publisher was for the Hawaiian, it's Evertype, and he probably just did what was easiest.
Yeah, which is fine. As long as the language exists, I think we're all cool with that.
Yeah.
The next one would be Irish Gaelic. Right? That's the same thing. And also published by Bloomsbury and looks identical to all the Bloomsbury books, such as Ancient Greek.
It does.
Really not a lot to mention. Yeah, not a lot to mention about that one, as well as the next one, which is Latin alphabetically. And we've talked about this one before. Also looks identical. Not much to say.
Yeah.
But the following one, Luxembourgish, that one's actually really cool because it is the Thomas Taylor art, but the spine and the cover have slight modifications.
Bright pink. Very pink borders.
Yeah, I feel like it's the art is small on the Luxembourgish ones. The books are bright red. And the spines are a different color too. You wouldn't know that it was a Thomas Taylor if you looked at the spine at all. I'm pretty sure book 2 I think is lime
spine?
green.
Is it 2 is lime green, which is unusual.
Yeah, hold on. I don't
my books are in the other room where I would get up and get my books.
It's red. It's the whole spine is red for book 1. I don't have book 1 in hardcover. Book 2 I have in hardcover, and book 2 is lime green.
Book 2, yeah.
But both
I'm trying
super
to
cool.
remember. I haven't seen the soft cover in a minute, but I feel like the hardcover is a lighter, it's almost a pinkish red border instead of a red red.
Yep. Yeah. So it's nothing to knock your socks off, but it is cool that it's just a little bit different than the other Thomas Taylor books, right?
Yeah.
The next one is Macedonian, the first translation. Remember, Macedonian, for those of you that are really keeping track, was retranslated. And the original translation is the only one that used the Thomas Taylor
And there are at
art.
least 2 prints
So,
of that because
again-
there's 2 different states of the Macedonian.
And you could tell them,
Yeah, so
you could tell the difference between it because of the Thomas Taylor art, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and you can tell the difference between the states of the first translation because the original one has the Brownbeard wizard on the back, and the second state of the first translation has the Dumbledore, which is, seen.
Yep.
I
everywhere.
wasn't even
So that's
talking
an
about that. I was thinking about it, which that's way easier than mine. I was
The
thinking
color.
about it as their color, the color of
band.
the top. Is
yeah,
like
that
a
too.
dark, like brownish maroon almost on
And
one
heavily
state, and the
very
other
dark.
is like a bright, like pinky red, which is cool.
Yeah, it's almost like the first time they got it wrong too dark, and then the second time they got it wrong too vibrant.
Light.
Yeah,
Like-
too bright.
They're like, oh, whoops, we
And they
overshot
both
again.
look-
Oh, well.
I was hanging out with Xander like at a coffee shop and we were looking at his Macedonian, which was the darker banded one. And at the time I didn't have mine yet, but we were looking at pictures of Peter's, which was the lighter pink one, if I remember properly. And I remember thinking, Xander, both look fake because they're both heavily pixelated in person, like super, super, super color saturation to the point that the lines were super heavily blurred. It was just not well printed, I think is what it boiled down to. But neat to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's Macedonian. That brings us to Scots, which is another relatively new translation. Again, looks like the rest of the, the Thomas Taylor art. Nothing crazy. But following that is Sinhala from Sri Lanka. And that book is a little pinker than most of the Thomas Taylor arts. I think, isn't that the one I picked when we did like the book Rainbow episode?
Oh, maybe.
Did I pick
I feel
Sinhala
like
for pink?
probably because it does come across very like hot pink.
Yeah, especially like maybe on its own it doesn't, but if you put it next to another
Like a
Thomas
standard
Taylor
Thomas
art,
Taylor.
you're like, whoa, that's way pinkier than
I was honestly
I'm used to
shocked
seeing.
that Sri Lanka used Thomas Taylor art for their books. I don't know why. I would just thought Sri Lanka would have done
Yeah, I
something
don't know why either.
different.
Yeah.
I just think
But
that the
you know who else didn't? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you were just about to have a really good little segue there, and I just
No,
threw
no,
you right off.
no.
No, I was gonna say
No, please
I
go
feel
on.
like by going simple with the Thomas Taylor art for Sinhala, it really lets the language be highlighted because we've said so many times the script for Sinhala is gorgeous. Like it looks like I don't know how it could possibly be read, but the script is just it's so beautiful. It's very swirly and like whimsical looking. So I feel like just going with like a simple cover art kind of lets that stand out a bit nice.
I agree.
That's a great
It's
point. Absolutely.
So pretty.
One more that really doesn't do a whole lot different is the Welsh translation, which is also again published by
I was
Bloomsbury,
about to
so
say
it
it's
looks
published
exactly
by Bloomsbury,
like
so of course.
the other ones. And that's the last of these that are published by Bloomsbury. So I think really quick to mention, Bloomsbury published English, they published Ancient Greek, Irish Gaelic. Did they do Scots? I don't think they did.
No. But they did Latin.
No, they didn't do Scots, but they did Latin and they did Welsh.
Itchy Coo
So
did Scots.
all of the ones that Bloomsbury published, yes.
Oh,
yes.
right.
All the ones that Bloomsbury did look identical. But the last one, which we've talked about on the show, and I'd love to talk about it again at some point in the future, is Valencian, which is just, it's the same art, but it is wild.
So
the
different.
color scheme is so different. It's got this kind of teal with a kind of an orange, and it just looks cool. Like you wouldn't think it would work with those colors, but it does.
But so Valencian is an adaptation of Catalan, and Catalan adapted the Bloomsbury art. And I think it's neat that since Valencian is an adaptation of Catalan, the Valencian further adapted the Catalan art. So I think that's neat because it separates it further from the other, but still kind of connects it to. if that makes sense. I just think it was very creatively done.
Yeah, well, and whenever we've talked about Valencian, and we've mentioned this a couple times, my cousin is Spanish, and when he was hanging out with one of his friends in Madrid, and his friend was from Valencia, and was like, I didn't even know that translation existed. Like, you're lying. There's no way it exists.
Because I was told
it's
that more
really
than
not
once for Valencian.
Like, I don't think it's very well known.
Mm-hmm.
And they look like, if you were just to open the book, I don't know how you would even tell the difference between like Catalan and Valencian. Honestly, you'd have to really be like a native speaker of these languages to maybe catch up on any differences, if there are any. And so I that's what I'd love to dig deeper into in the future is, this Valencian book and the Catalan book, and just what's the same and what's not. So
I
hopefully
would be
in the future,
fascinated
but
to
in
get
terms
some
of
native
just
speakers together and chat.
Yeah. But just in terms of the color, it's righteous. How about that for a word?
Oh, it's so cool. Can I tell you my favorite part about the Valencian book?
Yeah.
Cool. My favorite part is the fact that all of these books, right, are Thomas Taylor. They're all like very, very similar. That was what we talked about. But Valencian, besides the fact that it's teal instead of red, which is absolutely wild, it uses the American logo. Like Harry Potter is written with like the Mary Grand Pré Harry Potter logo that we all know and love so much. But like, it's just so cool that like you have this European-esque book, or English book, and it's got like American font on it. I don't know. I just thought that was so cool.
Thomas Taylor with the Mary Grand Pré font, isn't it?
I think so.
I don't think the Hawaiian would have it. I don't think they did that with Hawaiian.
No, it doesn't.
No.
But the Valencian on the spine, it's the same as all the other Thomas Taylors. It's not the American font on the spine.
Oh, I think we did talk about. Yeah, we talked about like regular Greek, but like the original Greek, Greek language, not ancient Greek, has pre-movie font. The pre-movie font is more like the standard Thomas Taylor, whereas the movie font is
that's true.
Like the American. Like if you look at it, it kind of looks like Mary Grand Pré style, even though it's written in Greek, like with that alphabet, which I think is really cool. That's one of my other like bucket list books is the pre-movie Greek book, which is so hard to find.
Hard to find. But you know what book is not hard to find at all?
Go ahead and tell me.
No way.
Well, it's the translation of the show.
That was brilliant. I'm so proud of you. The translation of the show. I bet you could guess, if you think about it, what the translation of the show is. I'll give you a second. The translation of the show today is Ancient Greek, which is so cool. Definitely needs to be chatted about a little bit because it's a very unique type of book. There's only this book and the Latin book that are kind of like educational tool type books, which I think is so fascinating. Like, I feel like I would love more version type books or books that were like, had this kind of outlook, you know? So the translator of this, like we mentioned before, is written right on the front cover, is Andrew Wilson. We love when the translator is recognized right on the cover. That was something that we had said to Arun when he was on in our episode 100. We loved that he had like a sticker that featured him. And what's so cool is if you open up the little flappy of the jacket, there's a thing all about the translator, which you don't get stuff like that often. Again, I will go back and mention Arun had a little I was going to say handout, but like a cute little flyer inside of the Yiddish translations that had kind of all about him, which was super, super cool. Like we said before, this book is published by Bloomsbury, and just some stuff about ancient Greek. It includes forms of the Greek language, and it was used in ancient Greece and just in the ancient world from 1500 BC to 300 BC. Just very cool. And like I said, it's an educational tool, this book. It's not really used for much else.
Well, ancient Greek is
so
considered
everything
a dead
in this
language.
book that's not everything that's in there that's not the text is in English, because people that are buying this book presumably don't only speak ancient Greek, because nobody only speaks ancient Greek anymore. Like Carly said, it's a dead language.
It's a dead language. And what's neat about this is that this is like, I believe, the first modern book to be published in ancient Greek in like 1,000 years or something like that. I used to know it, actually, that number, which is wild to me. Like this, there used to be a lot of books that were published in ancient Greek at once upon a time when ancient Greek was not considered ancient Greek. But I love that they did this. Also, I love the comparison grammar-wise, because I'm such a linguistic nerd, between ancient Greek and modern Greek.
It's very cool. How did you guys get your book?
eBay.
Amazon.uk.
I got this one so long ago that I don't really remember. Probably eBay is if I had to guess. On a scale of 5, or 1 to 5, like 5 being the most difficult, how hard is this book to get? It is not.
No.
It is a...
There
Erik is giving it a 1 or a 0.
There's 4 for
1.
sale right now on eBay for $17.
Yeah,
and I was like, you could just type in Google search Harry Potter Ancient Greek, and you will have multiple websites that you can just go
buy.
And that's
easy
in both cover arts, because this is also available in Johnny Duddle cover. But I'm even in Thomas Taylor.
It may even. This is a book that I've seen even in bookstores in the United States. Like some Barnes and Nobles sometimes have a section.
The Thomas Taylor one?
And I don't know what they call it. And I've seen the Latin one there too.
Cool.
I
think I've seen Latin.
Like just Latin and Latin.
They have the Latins and
Latin
Spanish
and ancient Greek. I've seen. Yeah,
I guess you gotta come to
occasionally
to
pops
visit.
up in bookstores, but just Google it. Like you'll find a bunch of places. And again, because you can still buy it, it's not expensive.
Nope.
However, so
Cost
don't
of a new
pay
book.
very much for this.
While we were talking about it, I snuck a whiff, and I'm nervous about how this book smells. I'll be honest with you. So let's open it up, do our little tot scale, take a whiff. Ooh,
it is not acceptable.
No,
instant
I don't
troll,
like it.
instant troll. Oh my god!
Yeah, why is that?
It smells like
Why
a
is that?
shoe.
Oh my god!
Maybe that's what ancient Greece smelled like.
It's just literally, if I wasn't, my headphones are plugged in right now because they needed to charge. If I wasn't plugged in, I would go get my Bengali book, which is my least favorite smelling book, and compare. But oh my god, I think this might be it. All right, hold on, I gotta get it.
This might be it.
Hold on,
And
my headphone should be charged.
It's not. Well, I'll keep talking while Melanie's searching for that. It's not. I don't know. It's a bad smell, but it's not like I need to go throw up bad smell. It's just very unpleasant to me.
Very musky,
I just want to I don't want to smell that anymore. Yeah.
Mine is very musky,
hate it.
very bad.
All right, hold on.
Yeah, it's not good. All right,
No.
Melanie is now going to compare the smell.
Honestly, maybe it's because I'm pregnant and everything just smells crazier, but no, Bengali's still pretty bad.
Bengali's
Bengali's
worse.
No, I feel like I hate this more than Bengali.
Wow.
What? I'm going to bring
Erik, how
both
does
of these
your
down to my
Bengali
husband
smell? I'm
after and have him
curious.
smell them.
I don't know. I'm not going to get my Bengali,
I'm not gonna smell mine because Alistair's running around, so I don't want to get up.
Oh my God.
Potterglatt Shans in our in our live listen-in for Patreon members and says his smells fine. So maybe the three of us just got really bad smelling
Mine
books.
smells
Maybe there
like
was
a
one
bad
box
shoe.
that was like a little too close to the vent.
What printing do you guys
Mine
have?
just smells. That's a
think
good
mine's the
question. I
first.
haven't ever checked. Mine is an 8th printing.
Mine is a first.
Mine's a second. Yuck.
Yeah, weird.
No, I hate
Yeah,
it more than
maybe-
Bengali.
I don't know.
Ugh.
Interesting.
Both are yucky. Yikes.
They're really bad.
All right.
Well, okay, let's
I'm
talk about
curious
some things
how
that aren't
my
yucky then.
Johnny
Yeah.
Duddle is
Size
gonna
Move
and
on.
smell.
proportions, though. Size and proportions, though, I would give an outstanding. Absolutely love.
Outstanding size
I
and proportions.
Because it's the same size and proportions of the English version, which
Yeah.
is like the original book. And I feel like, again, talking about like accessibility, like if this book wasn't ancient Greek and I could like sit and read it, it's just a very appealing size. It doesn't feel overwhelming. I feel like the American books, because they're so tall, can come off very cumbersome. This is absolutely not. Like this book, you could just grab it and go. So size and proportions, I would give an outstanding.
I'm exceeds expectations.
I agree. Outstanding. Still a
All
good
right.
score, Carly.
Yeah.
Still pass. How the book feels in your hand. I mean, I'd give it an exceeds expectations.
Same.
It's the exact same texture as the English as well, which is a very smooth textured cover. It's small. It's easy to carry. It's very light. So I'll give it an exceeds expectations.
I agree. Exceeds blah 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 blah. Exceeds expectations. It's a little too slippery for me, but that it's not too slippery for me. But yeah, E for me.
Carly, did you say what yours was? And I just missed it.
Did you give a score, Carly?
Yeah, I was exceeds expectations. I said it when Melanie was talking.
Ah, okay.
I think some of my brain cells like got
Eee.
fried smelling that book.
Perhaps.
The quality of the book, I would give it an exceeds expectations. Mine holds up pretty
Yeah.
nicely. It gets like general book wear, I feel like, pretty easily. Like I have some dings on my jacket. I have some dings on the corner.
And the edges,
in general-
the edges ruffle real bad pretty easily.
Yeah, so I feel like in general it's okay. Yeah, I'll move it to an acceptable. I feel like in general it holds up pretty well, but I feel like if I was reading ancient Greek, like this would
It
not
would be
look this
probably
nice.
spine leaned pretty bad, is what I would be worried about. Because, yeah, I would say acceptable. I think that's a good score.
I'm going to go exceeds expectations, but I wish it was higher because this is a book that if you are reading this, you probably are reading it alongside another version of this book, whether that's in English or in regular Greek or both. And who knows, to compare things and to,
I
work on
will
translating
say-
things. So you'd really want it to be
I will
To be
say, like, the
sturdy.
it's-
So, but mine's, I'd say it's an E for me.
It's like the binding is sewn instead of just glued like you get with the English cover. So it'll probably withstand
Yeah.
reading better than just the English books. But I'm still going to have to say acceptable.
That's fair.
I'm a tough audience, I suppose.
No, that's okay. Cover art, interpretation of the cover art. Well, we've been talking about that in this entire episode.
This whole episode.
Honestly, I'm just going to give it an acceptable because it's the original cover. Actually, I'll give it an exceeds expectations. Here's why. Because I love that they translated the train, like Hogwarts Express is also translated
yes.
into ancient Greek.
Yep.
So that is
Yeah,
very
I love
cool. So
that.
I'll give it an exceeds expectations. You win this time,
I
ancient
agree with
Greek.
that.
I'm going to say the
And,
same for the same reason.
And I will say the same and just reiterate that it also has the translator on the cover, which is not necessary but very cool.
And then X Factor. We kind of the three of us secretly alluded to what my X Factor is. And it could be yours too. I'll allow it. If you take the jacket off, the cover of the book, like the boards, are black, very cool, very unexpected. And all of the text is in like a bright gold foiling, and there's a beautiful Hogwarts Express in gold foiling on the cover, which I think is so cool. So that would be my X factor.
Same.
That's mine also. I mean, is that yours too, Carly?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
allowed.
it's very, very unexpected. And I guess we'll say that X Factor Part 2 is what Melanie mentioned, that the train
Is
has
translated.
ancient Greek on the front. That's
Yeah.
and you would think that's a no-brainer, but it is amazing
But
how
it's
many
not done on all the Thomas
languages
Taylor translations.
just kept it in English.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kept in English, which is crazy to me. Like, if you have words and you're translating the cover, translate everything on the cover.
You would think.
Oh well, you would think.
Yeah. So that wraps up our translation of the show. Here's some info before you go. I told you we needed to spice
be
that
the
up.
first. that may be the first of, you know, the rest of the show where we're using that line, or it may be the only time it was ever used. Either way, it's a special moment.
I'm typing it in the notes so it makes it next week.
Okay,
So whoever's
good.
doing it has to say it.
Well, and you know what? I did forget to mention in the news segment, and I'm going to mention that right now. So, like, bonus, extra news. My birthday was last week, and I did get some books. So I did finally finish my Swedish set. I got the 7th book
Yay!
in that set, which, I mean, my mother-in-law still saved the book depository box that she's had it in for like 2 years. And I was like, oh, book depository.
I miss them.
It's gone. And then my wife also got me the full Ukrainian set that comes in this like really weird gift bag type
so
thing. That's not like a
cool.
box set, but it comes in the gift bag. Yeah. So that's awesome. Those are books I've wanted to have for a long time, not only because I think the covers are really cool, but they do make an image when you have all 7 books together on the spine. The spine has an image as well. So that was a cool set. So my wife gave me those. She's the best.
That's amazing. I'm so happy for you.
Amazing.
Very cool
Thank
sets.
you. And so that is the that's all we have time for. But before we go, we should mention a few things. If you want to get in touch with us, we are all over the place. First and foremost, you can go to our website, Dialoguealley.com. You can find stuff on there to explore. And if you want to explore any of our personal Harry Potter related Instagram profiles, they are at All the Pretty Books. That's Carly. I am at Nocturne Erik. Melanie is at the Harry Potter Collection. And Peter, of course, is the Potter Collector. So you can find all of his socials at the Potter Collector, as well as his YouTube videos that he is filming right now that will pop up on his channel. But did you guys see the video he made about the Swedish covers?
I did. It was so cool because
Yeah, that was so great.
we just chatted really extensively about like how much we love the Swedish cover. So it's so cool if you listen to us. If you just so happen to listen to us before you were introduced to the Potter Collector, oh my God, I love you so much. But also, then you have a medium to look at those books. So you could listen to us talk about it, and then you could watch Peter and see all of the books, and he goes into great detail with them. So really, really cool.
Yeah. So Carly has a website, alltheprettybooks.net. You can check that out. If you would like to send us a message, you can do that either through our website. You can send us a DM on Instagram, or you can email us at dialoguealleypodcast@gmail.com. You can find this podcast wherever you're listening to it right now, but I will mention again, if you want to take us on the go, there's plenty of ways to do so. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, which has our updated logo. Da-da-da-da. Google Podcasts is no more. It is merged with YouTube Music. So you can find us on the regular YouTube page, but you can also, if you have the YouTube Music app, you can find us on that as well, along with Spotify, Amazon, Pandora, iHeart, all the places. We are there. So really quick, I also want to mention, if you love this podcast, thank you so much for listening. We do this for all of you. It's just such a fun thing to talk about every other week. We love Harry Potter books, and we love sharing all of that with you, wonderful listeners. But if you'd like to support us a little bit more, we do have a Patreon page. So if you go to patreon.com/dialoguealley, you can support our podcast for as little as $3 a month. Some of the bonuses for various tiers that you can join at gets you things like access to our Discord, which is an online community solely for people interested in Harry Potter books and book collecting. If that's not your jam, you can get ad-free episodes. You can get bonus episodes that nobody else gets except for Patreon supporters. You can also watch us record the show live. We're on live Discord right now. There are some wonderful patrons that have been with us the entire episode, contributing and sending us messages and funny pictures of dancing girls. Sean sent us like a dancing,
because it was like the salsa emoji, because like
yeah,
we said that we were having a party.
That's a word. Yes, that's the word I was thinking of. The salsa dancing emoji. That's it. So thank you so much. Lastly, if you like what you hear, please leave us a written review wherever you are listening to us and spread the word. Our main mission for the show is to spread information to people that might want to hear it. So if you have a friend that's like, hey, I like collecting Harry Potter books, please pass along the word. That would be really helpful for us. So with all of that being said, thank you so much for listening, and it is time to walk back through the archway and into all of our daily lives, and we'll catch you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See ya.